Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a little craft with me video. So here is just a tray that I was doing. Excuse me. I ended up having to do another layer because the gold flakes that I added were sticking out. They were kind of a last minute thought. So I just mixed up some more resin, and I'm going to just put that on top. This time my resin had a lot of bubbles in it, but I think it's because it was just kind of cold in my apartment. So I'm gonna end up taking out all those bubbles with my torch eventually. So I just pour a little bit to start because you don't want to pour too much and end up, all over the place. So I just do a little bit, and then I just spread it on out. And like I said, I'm just trying to cover up, like get a smooth layer on top of this, on top of those gold flakes that I added, so it's all nice and smooth and nothing is poking out. I just take my time and I push around the resin that I poured on there, and yeah, that's about it. I just kind of push around, make sure it's in all the little corners. And like I said, you can always go back and add more. I just start off with a little bit and I push it around to make sure it's covering. And then when I feel like I need some more, as you can see, I just come back and I add a little bit more. And I keep pushing it around. I've never done a voiceover before. I originally wanted to talk while I was doing this video, but it was really late and my daughter and my husband were already asleep, so I just decided to record it and I did a voiceover instead, because once I get some downtime, the last thing I want to do is wake up my daughter, because once she's awake, she's like attached to my hip. So at night when she's asleep, it's like the only time that I get to, do my crafts or whatever other work that I need to do. I'm adding more. And I like doing it like this. I see some people that just kind of like pour on a thicker layer. I like doing it like this because it's just, it's less chances of like just pouring too much that you don't need and like wasting resin. Pretty much resin can get expensive, y'all, so I like doing it like this, and just doing like what I need. Oh, and I grabbed a smaller popsicle stick to like push into those really small spaces like around this bowl here, because the big one doesn't fit like I need it to. And then the big one also, you run into chances of like getting it on like the sides excuse me, and messing up your stuff. So this is ashtray that I actually made a while ago. I think I showed it in my previous videos, and I just forgot to list it, I guess. But I noticed that it was really like kind of thin in the bottom part, so I didn't want to chance it like getting sold to anyone and then it's cracking or breaking or whatever. So I'm just adding another layer of resin to the inside of this ashtray just to thicken it up and make it stronger. And then I usually just, like how you saw me pick it up and move it around, I just kind of move the resin around to get like one nice flat surface. And the same thing goes for this tray. It was just kind of thin. Which some of these heart trays in the mold that I have, it is usually a little thinner when I pop it out of the mold. So I like to just add an extra layer into these just to make them stronger and to make sure, that they don't break. I want them to hold up when they get sold to people. And I'm doing the same thing that I did with the ashtray. It's just, you know, moving the resin around to make sure it gets into all the cracks, all the crevices, and to make sure it's nice and even. And like the same as when I was doing the red and gold tray, I just add a little bit at a time. I must have dropped resin on the edge there. I'm just trying to make sure it's off. So, you know, I don't want any lumps and stuff on there. I don't need any extra spots. So, yeah, I'm just moving it around, making sure it's everywhere that it needs to be to make sure it's nice and even and smooth when it's done. And like I said, this isn't like here I'm not trying to like cover any pictures or like put anything in, so it's a really thin layer of epoxy. It's just enough to strengthen the, like, to make it more stable and make sure that it doesn't break. So I just take my time, be very patient, and just do, you know, little by little. I really love the green on that tray. I asked my husband, I was like, hey babe, pick a color. And he was like, green. And then I gave him like I think I had like 4 different greens. So I was like, okay, pick a number. And that's the color he chose. And it actually turned out really nice. I added the glitter and stuff, of course. This ashtray, was for a custom order. And that's what they wanted it to say. And they kind of gave me freedom. She was like, you know, it's for a guy. You know, it's kind of a joke gift for his birthday. He's pretty cool. I'm sure he won't mind any sparkles. But I ended up not doing glitter. I just did some, I used some black like mica black mica. I think that's how it's pronounced. Whatever. I used some black mica to make it like really nice and, you know, not too girly, but just a slight bit of shimmer. It looked really nice. And I thought it would look really good with the text being in that silver like foil. So that's what I did. When I put these down, like when I'm using the like the foiled images, I usually put a little bit of epoxy down first just to keep it from like lifting up and moving around. I notice sometimes if I just put the image and then pour the resin on top, it kind of floats around and I have to babysit it a lot more. So I put a little bit down first and spread it out like a really, really thin layer. This one I think I actually put a little too much. But like just a really thin layer. And I take my little popsicle stick and just kind of push it down to make sure there are no bubbles underneath the image. And then that way too, like it's easier. I can like move it around, slide it around, and get it exactly how I want it positioned. And after I get it to like where I want it at, I just take more resin and pour it on top. I don't do this layer really thick because, you know, the ashtray is already done, and this one didn't have like a thin bottom. So I'm literally only putting enough to make sure that image is like, you know, completely covered with the epoxy or with the resin, and to make sure like no damage, like it won't get scratched up or anything. And like if they need to wash it, they can, and they don't have to worry about messing up the image that's in their ashtray. And this one actually turned out really, really nice. I was so in love with it. I posted a video of it on my Instagram, and my mom was like, oh, you know, I need that on a shirt. So where she's going to wear a shirt that says, you know, these blank could never, I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know, but she wants it on a shirt. So I'm going to put it on a shirt for her because that's my mom and I can't say no to her. So I have that. Now I have my torch, and I'm just going to go over these pieces very lightly, very quick. Like, you don't want to hold it in one spot because you don't want to burn your resin. When I first started, you know, learning more about resin and playing around with resin, I did not know that you could burn it, and that can cause like your pieces to have like dimples in them or even more bubbles. So if you're using a torch, like be very, very careful, and like very light, very quick movements. You don't have to hold it directly on it. I keep my flame high so I don't have to hold it too close to my pieces. And with that purple ashtray, I probably ended up just not having enough resin to cover the bottom after it like had time to settle, so I just went back and added a little more. That's me just showing you how it looks like after I've gotten all the bubbles out. It was just a quick glimpse because, you know, the resin is wet and I don't want to keep holding it up. I think I was trying to decide on if I wanted to put those bowls on there, and I ended up not putting them on there. I just left it to what was I about to say? Oh, I just left them on the side, and whoever decides to buy that tray, I'm just gonna throw those in there because they match it and they're pretty. And yeah, that's it. That's just kind of like how I finish some of my pieces that I'm working on. Since this video ended up being longer, I'm going to stop it here. I think I ended up just pouring up another ashtray because I still had a lot of resin left over. So I just used that excess resin, and I ended up throwing that one away because there was not enough in it once it settled to make a full ashtray, and I couldn't replicate the color that I used like exactly to make it match what was already in the mold. So I ended up just getting rid of that. Resin lost, so sad. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.